lives in a place in heaven and calls his creatures to worship him in his house.
A to je da Bog u suštini, u stvarnosti živi na mestu određenom na nebu i tu poziva svoja stvorenja na bogosluženje.
Lives in a place in heaven and calls his creatures to worship him in his house.
A to je da Bog u suštini, u stvarnosti živi na mestu određenom na nebu i tu poziva svoja stvorenja na bogosluženje.
Lives in a place in heaven and calls his creatures to worship him in his house.
A to je da Bog u suštini, u stvarnosti živi na mestu određenom na nebu i tu poziva svoja stvorenja na bogosluženje.
How far back in creation, how far back in history of eternity can we go and still find a heavenly sanctuary?
Koliko daleko u prošlost možemo ići još uvijek naći prvobitno, prvo svetinje?
We have seen here we can go back before sin, but how far before sin?
Vidjeli smo da možemo ići pre pada u greh, ali
Now,
koliko
I'm really
pre pada?
pressing us to stretch our minds here.
Pritiskam vas da proširite um malo.
I believe there's one text that tells us how far. Maybe you have that.
Postoji jedan tekst koji nam kaže koliko. From eternity.
All right. Do you have a reference for that?
Imate li referencu teksta?
I found one that I rarely have seen used in our books on the sanctuary.
Ja sam jednu pronašao i retko viđam taj stih u knjigama o svetinji.
Jeremiah 17 and verse 12.
Jeremija 17:12.
And here we read,
ovdje čitamo,
a glorious high throne from the beginning is the place of our sanctuary.
Mesto je svetinje naše presto slave, visoko mesto od početka.
Glorious high throne. That can't just be the earthly sanctuary. There was no high throne in the earthly sanctuary.
Visoko mesto, presto slave, to ne može biti zemaljska svetinja, nema toga u zemaljskoj
We
svetinji.
have to be talking about the heavenly sanctuary.
To je nebeska svetinja.
And it says this throne was from the beginning.
Kaže, ovaj presto je postojao od početka.
From as soon as there were creatures, at least we can go back that far. As soon as God started creating unfallen beings,
U krajnjem smislu možemo ići do onog trenutka kada je Bog počeo da stvara uopšte inteligentna bića.
he had a place where they
Imao
could
je
come
mesto gde
and
mogu da
worship him.
dođu i da ga obožavaju.
Very important point about the heavenly sanctuary.
Ovo nas dovodi do jedne važne tačke kad je u pitanju nebeska svetinja.
Usually Seventh-day Adventists focus upon Seventh-day Adventist evangelists focus upon the year 1844 and the meaning of the investigative judgment.
Obično se adventistički evangelizatori zadržavaju na 1844. godini koja govori o početku istražnog suda.
But I'd like to point out here that we have a broader message than that. I believe that message, but we have a broader message about the sanctuary to share to the world.
Ja verujem u ovu poruku, ali poruka o svetinji je mnogo šira od ovoga.
And that is that God actually lives in a place in heaven and calls his creatures to worship him in his house.
A to je da Bog u suštini, u stvarnosti živi na mestu određenom na nebu i tu poziva svoja stvorenja na bogosluženje. U njegov dom.
To us.
To nam ne zvuči suviše strano.
Because we find the Bible teaching that all the way through about the heavenly
Jer
sanctuary.
pronalazimo to u biblijskim učenjima kroz Bibliju.
And I used to think there were only a few texts in the Bible about the heavenly sanctuary.
I ja sam mislio da ima samo nekoliko tih tekstova o nebeskoj svetinji u Bibliji.
But when I took the class in the doctrine of the sanctuary, my teacher assigned me to write a paper about the heavenly sanctuary in the Old Testament.
Ali kad sam ja pohađao čas učenja o svetinji, onda mi je profesor zadao zadatak da napišem rad o tim mestima gde se spominje nebeska
And he
svetinja.
said, I want you to write about all the passages outside the book of Daniel.
I rekao mi je, želim da napišeš rad o svim poglavljima, odlomcima izvan knjige proroka Danila.
Well, I didn't know that there were very many outside the book of Daniel.
Ja nisam ni znao da ih ima puno izvan knjige proroka
I
Danila.
thought my paper would be very easy to write.
Mislio sam rad ću lako napisati.
I ended up writing 80 pages
A napisao sam 80 strana.
and found over 35 texts in the Old Testament dealing with the
Našao sam
heavenly sanctuary.
35 tekstova u Starom Zavetu o nebeskoj svetinji.
Not only these ones in Jeremiah and
Ne
Isaiah,
samo u Jeremiji,
Ezekiel,
Danilu i Ezekiju.
but many in the Psalms,
Mnogi u psalmima,
many in Chronicles, and
dnevnicima.
in the prophets and Jonah and Micah and
Prorocima,
Habakkuk,
Jona, Mihija, Vakum,
of course Hebrews and Revelation.
Jevrejima, Otkrivenje.
All over the Bible we have a description
Kroz
of
celu Bibliju.
God having a place called the heavenly sanctuary where he lives.
Dakle, kroz celu Bibliju spominje se to mesto gde Bog živi, nebeska svetinja.
And I want to emphasize that the word for temple in the Old Testament
Želim da naglasim da reč za hram u Starom Zavetu
is the word hekab.
je reč hekam.
And
Hekab.
this is borrowed from the Sumerian. It's an ancient Sumerian word.
A pozajmljena je iz Sumerskog carstva, to je stara sumerska reč.
And it literally means great house.
Doslovno znači velika kuća, veliki dom.
The sanctuary is God's house. It's where he lives.
Svetinja je Božji dom, tu on živi.
Now here is the shocker.
A evo i šokantne izjave.
I was not aware of this until I studied under a teacher at Andrews who was your mentor, I believe.
Ja nisam bio svestan ovoga dok nisam proučavao kod jednog profesora na Andrewsu, koji je bio i moj mentor.
Fernando
Canale.
He has spent many years studying philosophy.
On je mnoge godine posvetio filozofiji.
And especially the foundations of the theological thinking.
Posebno o temeljima filozofskog razmišljanja.
He calls it the thinking behind the thinking.
To je ona misao iza misli.
And he has examined Roman Catholic theology.
I on je istraživao rimokatoličku
And
teologiju,
Orthodox theology.
pravoslavnu i
And Protestant theology.
protestantsku.
And he has found that all of these systems are built upon a foundation
Dakle, ovi svi sistemi su sazdani na jednom temelju,
that is not biblical,
koji nije biblijski.
that is built upon a Greek foundation,
To je grčki temelj.
upon a foundation of Greek dualism,
Na temelju grčkog dualizma,
in which the only thing that's real, that lasts forever, is the eternal abstract ideas.
jedina stvar koja je stvarno realna je na nebu, to su večne apstraktne ideje.
And things in time and space are not ultimately real. They're only temporary.
A stvari u vremenu i prostoru nisu u krajnjoj liniji stvarne, one su
And
privremene.
the philosopher Plato taught that
Platon je učio,
God cannot come down into time and space.
Bog ne može sići u prostor i vreme.
He's timeless. He's above time and space.
On je izvan vremena. On je izvan vremena i prostora.
So it's impossible for him to have a place where he lives.
Nemoguće da on ima dom gde živi.
And this foundation was accepted by the early Catholic Church when it began to fall away from Bible truth.
A ovaj temelj je rana katolička crkva usvojila.
And so if you probe into the foundation of all of these systems, you will find that they cannot accept a God that truly lives in a place.
Ako prodrete u temelje svih ovih sistema, shvatit ćete da tu nema mesta za Boga koji živi u prostoru.
God is only pure spirit.
Bog je čist duh.
He doesn't come into time and into space.
On ne ulazi u prostor i vreme.
And so in the doctrine of the sanctuary,
A učenje o svetinji,
the distortion that Satan has done upon this doctrine
iskrivljenje koje Sotona doneo u ovom učenju,
has not only affected the sanctuary, but the very nature of God and reality.
Nije samo uticalo na svetinju, nego na samu prirodu Boga i realnosti.
And so I believe God has raised up this church, this movement,
Ja verujem da je Bog podigao ovaj pokret, ovu crkvu,
to finally teach again for the first time since the early church.
da prvi put konačno uči nešto još od prve crkve, rane crkve.
That God is not the God of Plato,
Da Bog nije platonistički Bog.
timeless God that cannot live in time and space,
Bog izvan vremena i prostora, koji ne može da živi u vremenu i prostoru.
but that God actually has a place in heaven called the heavenly sanctuary.
Nego da Bog ima realno mesto gde živi na nebu, nebesku svetinju.
Where he lives.
Gde on živi.
It's his home.
To je njegov dom.
And he invites his creatures to come there and to worship him.
A on poziva svoje stvorenje da dođu u taj dom i da ga slave.
God is asking for the Adventist pastors and lay people to bring this world back to a radical understanding of the reality of God.
Bog, dakle, poziva adventističke pastore i vernike da prihvate ovaj radikalni pogled, dakle, o Bogu.
More is at stake than just the year 1844.
Mnogo više je ovde u diskusiji od samo 1844.
The very nature of God is at stake.
Ovde je reč o samoj prirodi Božjoj.
I'm thankful to have been given that privilege to share this truth about God with the world.
I sretan sam, zahvalan sam što mi imamo tu prednost da ovu poruku o Bogu delimo sa svetom.
He lives in a place in heaven and calls his creatures to worship him in his house.
A to je da Bog u suštini, u stvarnosti živi na mestu određenom na nebu i tu poziva svoja stvorenja na bogosluženje.